Alright adventurers, welcome back to another breakdown of Hollowed on Roblox, where your race isn't just for show, it's the key to unlocking some game-changing powers. Today, we're diving into the ultimate race tier list, because let's face it, not all races are created equal. Some of them, absolute game changers that will have you breezing through enemies and bosses like it's a casual stroll in the park. Others, well, they might leave you wishing you'd chosen something a little less situational. But hey, we've all been there, right? Now, your race isn't just about aesthetics, it's the backbone of your playstyle. Active and passive abilities vary wildly, giving you the tools to dominate combat, explore the world, or even outsmart your enemies in unique ways. Some races are ridiculously versatile, making them top picks no matter what scenario you're in, while others shine only in specific situations. But don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which race deserves the spotlight and which ones you might want to reconsider. Stick around, it's going to be a wild ride through Hollowed's fantasy roster. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking races in Hollowed. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The races in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Onia. Onia. If you've ever dreamed of being the person who punches their way through life and that's it, this is your class. I mean, come on, rage sounds cool, right? For a few seconds, you're an absolute beast with boosted stats and a punch-focused damage buff. You even get a dash that's on par with the swordsman class, which makes you feel like you're keeping up. Sort of. It's not terrible, just kind of meh. But here's the kicker. That's all there is to it. You're punching, and yep, still punching. Onia doesn't really bring anything extra to the table beyond those fists. No cool combos, no flashy abilities, just you and your knuckles against the world. It's like eating plain toast when you know there's butter, jam, or something more exciting in the pantry. Sure, it's functional, but is it fun? Not really. Look, I get it. Sometimes simple can be satisfying. But Onia leans a little too hard into the one-trick pony vibe. If you're into mindless melee brawls, maybe you'll vibe with it. Otherwise, this class doesn't have much staying power, especially compared to others in Hollowed that are just oozing with creativity and variety. Punch your way through a few fights, and you'll probably start looking at the more versatile races, wondering why you ever settled for this one. The races in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Jari. Oh boy, Jari. You know that feeling when you walk into a magic shop and it looks amazing, but all they sell are glittery keychains? That's kind of Jari for you in Hollowed. On paper, it's got this enchanting vibe. Myth of Magic lets you pop off 5 spells in just 15 seconds. It sounds like you're about to be the next great wizard in the arena, right? But, well, hold that thought. To be fair, Jari does have one solid ace up its sleeve, Scholar Bloom. This perk speeds up your mana recharge like your brain after a triple shot espresso. So if you're the type to spam spells and hope for the best, Jari's got your back. It's a race that whispers, hey, I'm not useless, I just need a little love. But here's the thing, outside of those two abilities, there's not much else going on. It's like Jari showed up to the race buffet and decided, nah, 2 perks are enough. Sure, you'll have your 15 seconds of fame with those spells, but after that, you're left feeling a bit meh. Not bad, but definitely not a showstopper. If you're looking for something more versatile, you might want to keep shopping. The races in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Hydra, Shaylee, and Reefer. Alright, let's talk about something fiery, fast, and downright sneaky. Yep, we're diving into the B-tier races in Hollowed. These aren't your top-tier superstars, but they've got enough spice to keep things interesting. Whether you're setting enemies ablaze, confusing the heck out of them, or coming back from the dead, the B-tier lineup has a little something for everyone. First up, let's fan the flames with Hydra. If you've ever wanted to channel your inner dragon, this race has you covered. With the Dragon Breath ability, you're basically a walking flamethrower, torching enemies left and right. Things get even better when your HP drops below 40% because your defense gets a nice boost, turning you into a fiery tank when things get rough. And if you're into fire spells, Hydra cranks the damage up a notch. The downside? That's about it. Beyond the fire-breathing fun, Hydra feels a bit one-note, which might leave you wanting more depth. Now let's talk Shaylee, the multitasker of the bunch. These guys build up stacks during combat, which can be unleashed in an epic AoE debuff called Confusion. Not only does this mess with your enemies, but it also buffs your defense, attack speed, damage, and movement. Yep, it's chaos, but it's your chaos. Plus, Shaylee deals extra damage with any weapon, making them versatile as heck. Oh, and they get a bonus for munching on meat, which is weirdly satisfying in-game. The catch? As impressive as the abilities are, it feels like there's room for a little more flair to make them truly shine. Moving on to Reefer, the wall-hacking hunters of Hollowed. This race has a knack for seeing through walls, whether it's enemies, friendly NPCs, or even other players. Combine that with Hunter Instinct, which boosts attack speed by 7%, and you've got a solid setup for aggressive play. But wait, there's more. Hunter Mode is their ultimate clutch move. When you get knocked down, you can pop back up with 20% HP and deal damage to heal even more. It's like a second life with style. The trade-off? Hunter Instinct lowers your defense, and Hunter Mode reduces your speed and damage, making these buffs a bit of a double-edged sword. Here's the thing with B-tier races, they've got potential. Hydra brings raw power, Shale offers versatility, and Reefer is perfect for those clutch moments. But each has quirks that keep them from breaking into the A-tier club. Whether it's Hydra's lack of variety, Shaylee's need for just a little extra pizzazz, or Reefer's trade-offs, there's always a catch. That said, don't sleep on these races. If you know how to work with their strengths and manage their weaknesses, they can hold their own in most situations. Plus, sometimes it's just more fun to play with a race that feels like an underdog. You get to flex your skills and prove everyone else wrong. So, whether you're torching the battlefield as a Hydra, stacking chaos with Shale, or pulling off comeback plays with Reefer, B-tier races bring their own flavor to the game. They're not perfect, but hey, perfection is overrated, right? Got a favorite race from this lineup? Let me know in the comments. Or, if you think one of these deserves to climb into A tier, let's hear your argument. Keep experimenting, keep torching, and as always, stay hollowed. The races in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Rius and Eclipse. Alright, let's talk about some of the spiciest races in Hollowed. Pun absolutely intended. Because we're starting with Rius. If you've ever wanted to play as a fire-loving demon who shrugs off burns like they're mosquito bites, this is the race for you. Rius comes packing the Demon's Wish ability, which gives your damage, fire damage, and attack speed a hefty boost. Oh, and here's the kicker, you can't die from heat stroke, and you just laugh at the burn debuff. Honestly, it's like fire is more of a friendly hug than a threat to Rius players. Plus, there's a small perk with faster mana charging, though it's more like a cherry on top than the main dish. Now, I hear you asking, okay, what's the catch? Well, the problem with Rius is that it's all fire, all the time. If you're not dealing fire damage or tanking fiery hits, you're kinda left out in the cold. Ironically, it's like being invited to a barbecue and finding out they only serve hot dogs when you're craving burgers. So while Rius is amazing in the right scenarios, it's definitely a bit one-dimensional. But let's shift gears and talk about Eclipse, the race that brings some serious mystery vibes. These players can summon a ghost with the Lunar Ghost ability, which sounds way cooler than it actually is, considering the ghost only deals 50 damage. It's more like a cute distraction for your enemies than a game changer. But Eclipse's real trump card? The Sacrifice ability. This lets you turn back time and replenish your HP if it drops below 90% but stays above 20%. It's basically a safety net for when things get dicey. And when the sun goes down, Eclipse players get a whole buffet of buffs that make nighttime battles a dream. However, not all is moonlight and roses. Sacrifice comes with a harsh downside. You lose access to your racial abilities for a whole hour after using it. That's like hitting a jackpot but having to wait an eternity to cash it in. Oh, and did I mention Eclipse players are stuck with 100 less HP than everyone else? It's a small but noticeable disadvantage that can make fights a little riskier, especially if you're prone to charging into battle. So there you have it, two very different races with their own quirks and quirks. Rius is your go-to for fiery chaos and tanking burns, while Eclipse shines when you want strategic plays and nighttime dominance. But hey, in Hollowed, every race has its time to shine, or, in Eclipse's case, moonlight. The races in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Akula. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted to feel like the apex predator in Hollowed? If so, Akula might just be your dream come true. This S-tier race doesn't just dominate the battlefield, it thrives in it. Picture this. Every time you bite an enemy, you're not just dealing damage, you're healing yourself. Yeah, you heard me right. They hit you, you bite back, and boom, your HP gets a top up. That's peak Predator energy if you ask me. Now, let's talk about water. Akula isn't just your average race, it's practically unstoppable in the water. Dive in, and suddenly you're zooming around like a turbocharged torpedo. Your attack speed cranks up, you get a sweet regeneration buff, and it's as if the game is screaming, "Get out of the way, Akula's here!" Plus, there's Bloodlust, which lets you see enemies through walls when you land a hit. And that slash damage? Oh, it's not just for show, it boosts your overall damage output like you're in a shark frenzy. But hey, even apex predators have their flaws. Akula's buffs rely heavily on being near water, so if you're caught in dry land too long, you might start feeling like a fish out of water. Literally. It's incredible, don't get me wrong, but a little more versatility wouldn't hurt. Still, if you're looking for a race that's lethal, restorative, and just downright cool, Akula is the one to sink your teeth into. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.